Hi Armand, first of all, I like to welcome you to our metal radio show Welcome to Hell and to this short interview session talking about Forever Black. You're the one, the guy that engineered and produced the new Cirith Ungol album, Forever Black, which was made in your captain's quarters studio. What comes to your mind when the guys told you that you should do the recordings and produce the album?
I said, fuck yes. I would love to, first of all, because, well, you know, I have a good relationship with the guys, of course, you know, our history here in Ventura and all that, and to be a part of something that is very historic for the band and for metal in general, to come out with a new record for over 25 years, and for me to be able to be the one that gets to be the first to hear these songs and the first to get my hands on them and record it, was just a great thing. So, you know, at the same time, it was an exciting thing, but also a little scary, because it's like, okay, well, I better not fuck this up, and hopefully, you know, we can come out with something that people really love, because there's these guys have a cult kind of following. You know how it is. Their fans are, either they love them, you know, 125,000%, or they hate them, you know. I don't know. Maybe I've never met anybody that hates them, but they love them. So, you know, coming up with something new is always tricky, especially after a long time. We've seen it with many other bands. It's really hard to capture that the old spirit that made everybody love their music in the first place. So, but I think we did a good job. So I'm really proud of it.
Yes, you did a great job. You created a wonderful old school sound for the guys. And would you tell us a bit about the recording process?
Yeah, well, like with anything, you know, the guys have been working for months in the rehearsal studio, demoing, changing things here and there. They would send me demos as they would change things. You know, I would just kind of listen to them and just kind of start to prepare myself for what to do. I didn't want to go too hard on the production. Obviously, there's something about those old records that, you know, they're really simple. You know, it's one guitar track, bass and drums and vocals, you know, but now they're, you know, with Greg being in the band as well, there's two guitars going on. And I wanted to try to keep a little balance of the old school sound with a little bit of the modern thing, you know. And I always wanted to have a bit of that kind of buzzy guitar sound that they had on the first few records, you know. That's very signature to their sound. Again, it's one of those things that if I had heard that when they were, you know, if they came to me and I didn't know that band ever before and they gave me that guitar sound a long time ago, I would have said, what the fuck, you want this on the record? but it became part of their sound, and it's cool. So I don't know if, you know, people will pick up on that, but there's some moments of that kind of sound going on. The drums, obviously I wanted to really showcase Rob, and, you know, he brought the full 7-8-piece drum kit into the studio.
Wow.
So I had fun trying to mic every little piece and make sure everything sounded good.
Also his cowbell.
Well, yeah, of course, we gotta have the cowbell, yeah. And I had some help from Dusty Squires from Night Demon. Helped out with a little bit of drum teching, tuning. He's really good at tuning drums and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we took, we spent the first week doing the drums, doing some guitar stuff. And, you know, it was a bit of a long process because both bands, you know, we had to take some breaks. Night Demon had some touring stuff that came up that summer, and then also some festival things with Ungol. So, you know, we would work for a week, and then we would have to take a few weeks off and go do other things and come back to it. So overall, I mean, as far as like time I usually spend to make records, this was definitely one of the longest processes, but not because things weren't prepared or the band wasn't good. It's just because of, you know, other obligations that we all had.
And how was the work with the guys? You said they were really good prepared, so everything was running in a good mood.
Well, we've had some arguments, you know, as you will when you get artists together, and some people might be a little more stuck in their ways than others, maybe don't want to change things, you know, as often, or take suggestions in a way. But that's how this stuff works. You know, you got to compromise sometimes. I know there was some issues getting the guitar sound right, you know, because that was a huge thing. You know, Jimmy, like, you know, being the main guitar player, really wanted to capture a specific kind of tone. And I think a lot of it also, they had made these demos, you know, and they had been really listening to these demos so much over a long period of time that they wanted to kind of recreate that sound, which I didn't quite think was powerful enough for the record. So in the long run, we ended up doing kind of a blend of sort of a direct kind of, like I said, the buzzier kind of sound mixed in with some good amp tones. And I think it came out great. I mean,
yeah, definitely. The sound of the album is really, really great. You did a fantastic job, and you have this wonderful, warm, old school sound like on the first 4 albums. And I think it's really typical for Cirith Ungol. And you managed to do a nearly same sound. So I think you did a great job with that.
Well, that's awesome, man, because like I said, we worked on this record for a long period of time, you know. There was a lot of back and forth and alternate mixes and trying different bass sounds and this and that, and it's like, well, what do we, you know, how are we trying to match this to fit in the catalog and to finally hear it. You know, the hardest part with this work, you know, being a producer, engineer, mixer, is, and especially when I do the album from the beginning. You know, a lot of times I'll record it and we'll send it to somebody else to mix because they have a fresh ear on it, fresh perspective. But this time, you know, so it's hard to kind of like be subjective sometimes, and because you've been living with it for so long, you know, to really hear it from like an outsider. So it's great to finally let people besides us hear it and give their opinion, and so far all of them have been really good, so that's fucking awesome to hear, man. Thank you.
Just a question more to that. A few years ago you received that old recording device that was used earlier on other releases of the band. Did you also use this one for the production, or was there no option?
The
old tape
analog
machine.
tape machine. Yeah, you know, unfortunately, this was the thing with that. You know, these days, the studio in Ventura that all the, I think the first 3 records or 4 records that were recorded at here. And they closed down about a couple years ago, and I purchased a tape machine, 24-track, 2-inch tape recorder machine that those records were recorded on. And I mainly kind of bought it. Well, first of all, I always wanted to have a tape machine. I grew up learning on tape. That's how I learned to record. I had a half-inch 8-track recording machine, a TX. So having a big machine like that was always a dream of mine, and I finally got it, and mainly because, you know, of the history that is on that machine. And so there was kind of some ideas about using that for the record, but the thing is, tape is very expensive these days.
Oh, okay.
It's about $300 per reel of tape.
Wow.
And if you're running that at the full speed, the highest speed, which is the highest quality, you get about 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes per reel.
Ooh.
So you can imagine no one's getting the song recorded in one take, you know? So if you're doing 3 or 4 takes of each song, 10 songs, we're talking 10 reels, we're talking $4,000 or $5,000 of just tape alone.
Okay.
You know?
So that makes no sense.
So unfortunately, yeah, these days we don't quite have the budget anymore. But with the digital, I can utilize the machine more as an effect, because I can send tracks to the machine and bounce back. You know what I mean? I don't have to necessarily record direct to the machine first, but I can use it as an effect. So there was a little bit of that going on.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah,
cool to hear
I think
that.
if we were to do something like if we were to do something like a single again, like we did the Witch's Game a couple years ago, where it was just one song, then maybe we could experiment and do one song fully on the tape.
Yeah,
cool. I think that would be fun to do at some point.
Cool idea. This Brutish Man-Child single that was on a flexi disc, I think, somewhere in the States in a magazine. Was this also produced at the Captain's Quarter studio?
Yeah, we recorded that as part of the of the whole album, and then there was an idea to use that just as a single.
Ah, okay.
And, you know, I don't know if Robert talked about that at all, but that song was, you know, a song that's been around since, I think, the late 70s or something like that.
Yeah.
When they first wrote that. So it was cool to give that new life.
Okay. Armand, thanks for this little short interview session. And if you like, you can greet some friends or say some last words to the listeners of Welcome to Hell.
Welcome to hell. I think we are in hell now. Not the good hell. A hell with no live music. I never thought I'd experience this in my life. But we'll get through this shit, man. And we'll be back soon enough, banging our heads together. We miss all of you, especially in Germany. You guys are the best. We have some of the greatest fans out there. Dirk, Diana, everybody out there. What we can do is just, you know, send each other pictures, keep social media going, and maybe we'll do some kind of live stream thing in the future here. Always, you know, we're always thinking about doing things, but we're also thinking about doing things Night Demon way, which you know how that is. So we must plan it and do it right. So rock on, metal lives. Welcome to hell.
See
you soon.
Thank you very much, Armand.